This thing working? Yeah, okay, good. All right, we got a whole bunch of things to do work on today, and a few things to talk about. We do have Christine Bodnar here today, the demonstrator. Christine's been with us before. I love what she does, and I've seen her work before, and but I apologize because we were talking earlier. We get to eat into a little bit of her time, demonstration time, because we have a few things to talk about today. As many of you know, Kim, our president, has stepped down due to a new job conflicting with her responsibilities here for the Foxborough Association. And just this week, Pat has stepped down as vice president. So right now, we don't have a president or a vice president. I do want to thank both Kim and Pat for all they have done to better the Foxborough Association during the time they have been here. I mean, this group is really a very good group and a very cohesive group, and I'm very glad for what they've done. Nancy, our treasurer, is on vacation this week. And Laurie, our secretary, I was talking to Laurie, we're talking back and forth during the week. Myself, Frank, and Laurie have been back and forth. And Laurie just felt that she was a little bit too new for with the group to really get up here and speak. And I understand that, not a problem at all. So that's why you're stuck with me. And
Jack for president.
yeah, thanks. Thanks. Yeah. No. You know. So just for the sake of we have the library trustees, 3 of them here today. For the sake of them, I just want to let them know, I'm Jack Gannon, and the reason that I'm here, standing here, is I have been in the past an officer and a board member. I have not been in that position for about 1.5 years now. And then I just want to throw out there, if anyone does want to be president or vice president, and they want to throw their names into a hat, we'll use Ralph's hat, you know. But seriously, if there is somebody out here who wants to be willing to be president or vice president, please either reach out to Frank or reach out to me, and be fantastic. And then changing subjects, we got the really big show going on here, a great group of paintings. I didn't see it earlier, but I walked around here earlier today, and it's really, I mean, like we always have. We have a very, very, very good group of artists here, and every one of our shows, between this one and the small work show at the gallery at Patriot Place right now, they're fantastic shows, and they always are. So thank you for that, and congrats. And then also congrats to all the ribbon winners. We had, who was Frank, who was the judge?
Diane Pinarelli.
Oh, okay, Diane Pinarelli-Miller. And she, does a great job with the judging. And, I mean, every artist who comes in, anyone who comes in, they got certain things they look for, and, I know when I judge, I get the same thing. There's certain things you look for and do, and I think she did a great job. I really do. Now, one more thing I want to let you know about is that this Saturday is the Harvest Festival at Patriot Place. It's probably my favorite event that Patriot Place does. Unfortunately, I'm going to be away, so I won't be able to be there this week. I've been to almost everyone they've had, probably everyone they've had. It's this Saturday, and also at the same time at the Artist Studio and Gallery at Patriot Place, we're going to do a paint out. Now, the newsletter mentioned that, but I want to let this group know that if you want to come and you want to paint, I know Ralph will probably be there for sure, George. If you guys want to come, you guys want to paint, please feel free to come in. It's 1 to 5. Meet at the art gallery. Bring your art supplies. Bring your easel. You can paint inside. We got plenty of space inside for everybody, probably. And there's also, if it's good weather, you can paint outside. And there'll be a lot of events going on, and a lot of events around our area. So you'll have a lot of people viewing and spectating, and it's a fantastic place to really get, just to be seen. Be paint and be seen. So please, we'd love to have every one of you. If you all want to come, it'd be fantastic. And then I want to let everyone know, if you don't know already, that the Artist Studio and Gallery Picture Place has moved. We are now around the corner. We're no longer across from Davio's. We now have a much bigger space that is around the corner. If you head towards Dunkin' Donuts and take the corner, kind of where our first space was. Okay, we're 2 doors down from there, or actually 1 door down. But we have a big space now. And it's a fantastic job. You know, we actually closed down on a Friday, and we opened back up. We closed down on a Sunday in the old spot. We opened back up on the following Friday. So it was a lot of work, but it was well worth it. Great space. So please, if you haven't seen it, come on down. Joanne.
That microphone's making terrible noises.
Oh, I heard something back there. I didn't know what it was.
It's
This any better? Okay, I have to get a little closer to it. No? Well, I'll tell you what. Let's get rid of it. We don't even need it. Okay, I say that and then you walk out. So, to keep things rolling here, we do have, they paint out this Saturday, 1 to 5. Ann and Polo are the anchor artists at the art gallery this weekend. Unfortunately, I was going to be there, but I can't be now. So hopefully we'll see everyone in there. Frank? Frank, you be there too? Yeah. Yeah, and I know Laura's going to be there as well. And then what we'll do, Christine, if you want to come up and start your demonstration, we get that rolling. I can apologize for probably 5 minutes later than we normally would be, but actually 5 minutes is very good compared to what I was expecting. I kind of figured it would be about another 15 minutes or so from now. So this is perfect.
I'm good.
Yep,
I just
everyone,
need,
Christine?
Neil, right? Neil to turn this on. I really don't need it. I'm a teacher. I can talk pretty well. I'll be talking to myself up here.
Are we gonna just put it in your pocket?
Yep.
That's why it's so close.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Yes, so that's the raffle piece over here. It is a G clay from an original. I'm a landscape painter and a figure artist too, but I do, you know, if I have something I need to paint, I just find a quick thing to paint. That was a little bouquet study. So there's an original from original. Let's see. Where's my photograph? I'm going to tell you a little bit how I work before I start my demo. It'll take 2 seconds. I usually always do some kind of no-tan or even a color study, just little squares. I'll do it over and over again for my reference photo, or if I'm out plein air, I'll do a study, come in. And actually, I did a study of this painting I'm going to do today, and it's at a gallery right now, but I really, really liked it. So I'm going to print at work. So it's like an 8 by 10. So I'm actually worked from this photo, which is a totally different, if you look. So the photo, when you take a photo, they don't always print out what you see. Like it's really blue, shadows are really blue, it's really green, it's kind of flat really in some areas. But I just really liked how the shadows are coming off the dunes here. The grasses were a little bit better coloring. There's actually like a haze coming here from probably, you know, I'm taking the photo into the sun, so I really can't see these darks back here. But I'm going to create them. And I'm not going to do a little study. I'm just going to quickly draw. Another thing I want to show you is what I work in oils and acrylics also. So I use all types of brushes. And in my pastels too, this is very small for me. I work 30 by 30 now, or 30 by 40. I work really, really huge pieces of paper. So I can go from brushes like this to like a household brush like this, to even smaller brushes like this when I work smaller like this. I usually use water for underpainting, and I was talking to somebody earlier. I started with alcohol only because it dries really quickly. And I'm going to use that tonight because usually I'm using water, then I have to kind of like, you know, dance up here or something while it's drying, and I didn't bring a blow dryer. So I'm going to use alcohol. I haven't used it in a long time. So I don't like it because it dries too quickly. I like to use my brushes to move the water around, almost like watercolor. Really loose underpainting. That's my style, even like dripping. So we'll see what happens tonight with this. So I use a new pastel, like a blue-gray, just to get my drawing going. I don't know which side I should stand on.
That's perfect.
Right here? Right, yeah, for you. For you.
You want a mirror?
Yeah. Just to be, I should go straight on just so it's fair. Can you still hear me? Okay. Now I like this photograph because it's got this mound, it's got this curve here, but then it's got this little scoop. It's probably too small for everybody in the background to see. But it's got this little scoop of dune coming up here. It's not the perfect picture, so I make it the perfect picture for me, right? So now I usually make these little marks so I know where I'm going, but I've painted so much I don't even make those marks anymore. I usually do it on my photograph too. And I usually crop off what I'm not going to use. Like I won't use all this down here. I'll probably crop it right here. This is 11 by 14. So visually in my head, I got to think, okay, this is 11 by 14 format.
What's your surface?
Oh, more materials. Pastel matte, so it's a sanded pastel paper. If anyone wants to come up here before I start, you can. I used to work on a really, really rough sanded paper, and this is pastel matte. It's really, really soft. It doesn't even feel like there's any texture on here, but there is. And it's just as durable as the other papers I was using. It takes water, it takes alcohol, it takes layers and layers of pastel. I can wipe it off and use it again. There'll be stuff left, there'll be a ghost left, but it's just like canvas, I can use it again. And I mount it with dry mount, or this, because it's smaller, I buy sheets of adhesive. It's two-sided adhesive, so I get either gator board or foam board, and I peel the adhesive, lay it on, and then lay my paper on. So if I went to a framer, the dry mount itself would cost like $10. The paper's like a good $7 piece. So right there, I'm almost $17. If I do it at home, it was like a lot, it's like $7, $5 for the paper, $7 for the paper, and like $3 for the adhesive. So I'm cutting back when I do little small studies. My larger pieces, I cannot mount myself. So the paper itself, big sheet, and then I go have it mounted, usually ends up being like $60. So you're talking canvas, paper. They're both an expensive piece of material to paint or draw on. But this, when I get done with it, I have to put it under glass and frame and spacers. So I'm going back to working on canvas a lot too, just because it's got expensive framing. But I love my pastels. And afterwards, I want you guys to come up and see the types of pastels I use. They're very, very soft, but there's different brands like Artworks I've got Richardson's, which I just went to the convention in June and picked these up. They're out of Wisconsin, and I love them. They're these little short pieces. They make longer ones than this, but they're really nice and soft and buttery. And then my go-to is Terry Ludwig's. That I like very much because they're square. They're like a square pastel, so they got these flat edges. So when I can drag and make a broken line, I can use the whole side like this, which I like because it's like the width of a brush stroke. They don't roll off my table at home, you know what I mean, because they're square. So I'm not breaking things all the time. So let me get started with this. So I am a very fast painter. Why do I call pastels painting? Does anybody know? It's pigment. Actually, it's the purest pigment you can get. Oils, acrylics are not as pure as pastel. Pastel is a pure pigment ground down with a tiny bit of binder. That's why a lot of the Impressionists used it. Their colors are still as pure as they were when they put them on the paper, on homemade papers even. So they made their papers, they made their pastels. Oils and acrylics. Oils especially turn yellow, right? Have to be cleaned due to environment, due to exposure, moisture, whatever. Pastels have to be kept under glass, and usually museum glass or AR glass, just to keep the UV rays out. They don't like moisture, so you really shouldn't hang a pastel like in the kitchen or a bathroom. But they will last longer than an oil painting or acrylic painting. Their vibrancy, their color, all right? So I gotta decide where I'm going to start this dune over here. And I always start, my darks are really important to me. And I just do a quick drawing. Like this mound. Got these 2 pine trees here. I just quickly draw things in. There are shrubberies out here. And this is a new pastel stick, which I do use some for like grasses and stuff, but I'm not big into putting a lot of detail in my work anymore. It's really, simplified. I just want to make sure I get my dark areas in. There's going to be this scoop here. I don't want to miss it. And there's shrubs back here. Once I get this quick drawing in, just want to make sure I get these. I like this nice swooping. There's a shadow there. This was going to be tricky, just like when you have like shadows going across a path with, going through the trees like backlit. You really got to keep track of where the shadows are. You don't want to get them too repetitious. You don't want 1, 2, 3 rows of shadows. You have to have things broken up and make it interesting. So this is a whole mass shadow down here, but there's a lot of light leaking through it. There's a whole white area here. I'm just going to kind of get myself so I don't miss these. A couple here. There's grass up here. And that's all I need. That's my sketch right away, all right? Under my light areas, my sands, and somebody was talking to me earlier about why does sand have to be like sand color or beige or whatever? It can be pink, it could be light blue. It depends on what light is bouncing off the sky or actually the color of the sand. I'm from Michigan, and my sand's a different, when I go home to visit everybody, the sand's it's a different sand anyways, but it's a different, really, there's whiter sand, there's pinker sand, there's black sand, right? I'm trying to find my magenta. I start with my darks first. I usually pick, let me open my box up. I wanted to open this up too. I bought this as a present to myself when I went to the convention. I hadn't gone in a few years. It's only every 2 years. It's out in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I promised myself that I would buy myself something. And I bought myself this little sketch box. I want you guys to come and see this. This tiny little box holds a lot of color, a lot of pastels.
That's the new Heilman one?
Yes,
I love that.
the sketchbook. And he had only so many at the show. And people were like, crowding around. And I couldn't even like, oh, I'll come back. I couldn't do it, so I just bought myself one. And this is separate, but this is actually really nice. This is my field easel, and I have a bigger box. In fact, when I was at your demo before, I had my other larger box, and it's just like cumbersome. It was too large. I love this. This fits in a bag, with everything else, or even your purse. It folds up really nice. And you only need like little bits and pieces for outside studies. You don't need all your full sticks. I did put my magenta, though, not in here. I put it over here. I start with a really dark eggplant. If you guys were at my demo before, I don't know if you remember, I usually only use like 3 colors for an underpainting. There's my eggplant. Let's pick a magenta out here. See, I'm talking to myself. I'll use the dark one first. So eggplant. For the really dark areas. And I'm just kind of like making these little pine trees. I want these guys darker. I want these, the shrubberies in the back, a little bit lighter.
Use a test strip or anything else to?
Nope. Nope. I'm going to use this violet. Let me see what I got here. I want like a reddish. Let's do this one here. This one. My work, I'm just in the process of, my website's down. It's been way long time needing a reboot. So I was trying to decide whether I was going to go with WordPress or what type of website I was going to go with. So it's on the merge of being created right now. All the work on my old website is old work. I'm trying to get my new work on there. I'm working very simplified and very more abstract than my older work. So to me, more like value, color value, and composition are my strengths. So under this sand, I'm going to put yellow. And maybe some orange. Just going to keep it bright. These are my strips of sunlight. I can mix them up. I always put a little color of and these are my shadows. Now I'm using violet. I know I have blue in this photograph, but I'm going to tend to keep it complementary. So I've got violets, I've got orange. Shadows back here. This is very orange on top here. I want a bright orange. You know, there's a difference between, that's a cool one too. I need warm orange. I need a warm, some yellow on it. Those are my grasses up there. And look at these little tufts of grass. I don't want to forget them. Right here. There's one right here. Just to keep these separated, like this background, I was just doing movie posters with my kids at school today. Foreground, middle ground, background, right? Foreground, middle ground, background. So I want my background. I want some middle ground, my foreground.
What age do you teach?
Actually, 5 through 12.
Wow.
So I have 5 through 8, but then I have a workshop with high school kids, which is the best time of the day with my high school kids. All right, so I just laid in, and a little bit at the top, I think I might put, I want to keep the sky. So I want to keep the sky kind of bluish, and I don't even need any color up here, really. I really don't. But I can bleed this down. We'll see what happens. I'm using alcohol. I don't have too much color up there. So now comes the fun part. I put some alcohol in this cup. I'm going to create the underpainting.
There's some for us too?
Huh?
There's some for us
Yeah.
too?
I went into the art room because I forgot a cup. I reminded myself to bring everything else, but I forgot a cup. So I went to the art room to find a cup. And the art teacher, the woman I work with, she goes like, I go, I need it for my alcohol. She was like, what? She goes, I thought you were going to go do a demo tonight. What kind of demo is this? So I was like, no, I need it. All right. I'm trying to stick this big brush in this cup because I like using my my wide brushes. So right away, I'm going to go to my light areas first, just to keep my brush clean. So I know this turns really bright. We'll see what happens. And I haven't used this alcohol in a while. I always use water because it keeps wet for me, and I keep mushing things around. So we'll see what happens here. It's still going to turn out okay. So these look really bright. And I just like how you don't have to make it perfect. And I like how it does this.
Does it kind of make, I've never seen that before with the alcohol and the pastel. Does it kind of make it more like a watercolor kind of look to it, or is it? I can't see from a distance here. Or does it still keep the pastel look?
Yep, it'll keep a pastel look, but what's going to happen, you'll see this underpainting underneath the pastel. Like you'll see this wash under it, and it makes it vibrate a little bit, depending on the colors you use. You know what I mean?
I've probably seen it, but probably never realized it.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of people use this. I have more control with water. Okay, now I'm going to go to my darker areas. I'll go to these purple shadows. So I usually lay on dark to light, and then I do the reverse for wetting it to keep my brush cleaner. And these look kind of dark too. See, now this is why I don't tend, for the alcohol, even though I'm using it, because once I do this, you really can't pick it up. If you use water, it's just like, who's a watercolorist here? Right? You can keep on picking off color. You know what I mean? You can make a hole if you want into your paper if you really wanted to. Once this dries, it's dry. You know? And that's why people like it for studies outside, so they can work quickly. But if you have water and it's hot out, it dries anyways really quickly. I need a bigger cup. All right. Let's put some more of this on there. Over here. Okay, now I'll do these really dark areas back here. And this is probably why I put too much on. And see, I can't go back in here, but I'm going to work with it anyways. The top of your brush can kind of make shrub tops. See how I'm doing that? Like, you can already use your brush as a tool. Pine trees. I love pine trees. All right. You can use a little brush. I bring little brushes just to get in some certain areas, but pretty much this underpainting is done. We'll probably start. Another thing too, see I have a habit of going back into something, and if you're not careful, if it's still a little damp, if it's a little damp, I don't even need this up here, I really don't. If it's a little damp, you might take off the surface a little bit. So you gotta be really careful. I'm gonna fill this in with a really light blue anyway, so I'm not too worried. I'm gonna leave it alone. All right. Now to pick my colors. What's nice about pastels too is like you can buy whatever you need. And I always just go like this to make sure it's dry. Or getting there. I probably like use something like this for the dune. I'll wait for a little bit here. Got plenty of greens. So I think these warms and these cools are going to play back and forth with each other on this painting. All right. Still got to dry a little bit. I could have brought a hairdryer, I guess, you know. And up here, I know I'm going to use.
So you don't decide what colors you're going to use before you
Nope, I just I kind of like what I used before, so I just grabbed what was in my what happens at home. I usually start a few paintings at a time. So in front of them, I have to keep the pastels that I'm using in front of them. Then I get a little mixed up. But I kind of like to keep myself on edge. You know what I mean? But I usually finish. If I don't finish something in that day or the next day, I have a really hard time going back. Even my large pieces I can finish in a few days. Just get the underpaint done. I think that might be all right. I'm going to fill this in up here. Just get rid of that dark right now. It's dry. I don't want to start until it's dry. See? Get your color off. You have to be really careful. Fix it. Not dry yet. Must be really humid in here. I'm going to pick out my greens. I like a lot of broken line too. So, you know, I put these shapes in here, but I want to break them up. I'm going to break these shapes, like the top of the grass up here. There are some of these like ochre, yellowy, they're beautiful. I want this to dry up here so I can start putting the background in. There we go. I'm going to lighten the ones up in the back just a little bit to push them away from the pine trees here. They're in the front. We're drying now. Yeah, we want like a darker violet for these. Going to get some colors for these grasses, and it's really bright on this hill, this mound up here. You still see around me? Yeah. Put some weight into this here. There we go. There's like little tufts of grass here and there too. I kind of want to forget though. That's what made it interesting.
Who did you go see when you went to the conference?
Oh, the convention?
Yes.
Yeah. So when I was there, I just went into Elaine, Picard. And then Tony Lane, yeah. And he was amazing. He's just amazing. All right, so let's get I think I like this color better for my shadows. these. Everybody was so busy at that convention, though. It's like,
Seems crazy.
I pitched in and helped because there's just so many things going on. The paint around, that was fabulous. All right, let's start with the sand. Again, it doesn't have to be pink.
Where's this photo taken?
Cape, Sandy Nook, I think it's called. Sandy Neck, yes. Down, do you know Eileen Casey? So she goes down there all the time. She goes, yeah, go down and take some photos or whatever.
Yeah, it's on the boardwalk. You know, the boardwalk down there on the marsh.
Yeah. Yep.
A workshop.
You know Ed? Ed's got his.
Oh, yeah.
So he did his open studios.
Yeah.
Um,
Cool.
I'm just trying to put some sand in here now. Keep these shadows going.
Now, so you're going to O'Connor demo
Oh yeah,
at the South Shore Gallery?
South Street. Yep.
Yeah, she was great, but the space was so small.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was gonna be that tight.
Let me back up for a second. So I need this to be really light up here, and I gotta do something with the sky too. So. I'm gonna break up my lines. There's too straight. And my color for the sky is wrong. So. Should be more on the violet-y side. Just cover those dark areas.
So do you paint plein air too?
Yes. And usually when you go out, the light is so limited to like 2 hours, basically. So I work really small when I go out, 8 by 10. Let me put light. There we go, something light. Break up these areas. Again, I always go back and forth with whatever color I used in my underpainting, and you can put it back in. And I'll get rid of my little mistake there. When you come up here, you'll see how I dug into the thing. It'll work. It'll be fine. Put a little bit of magenta down here. I gotta fix these grasses. This area's too dark up here. We even use like a orange or yellow. Little areas of tufted grass. You gotta get them in here. dark, even dark green underneath. So the point should come out. There we go. I'm just trying to show this lip.
So what is that dark you're using?
It's just a dark green. So I'm going back and forth with like a dark green and this magenta, back and forth. Down here can have some vegetation. I go back and forth in the background. I play around with cool, then warm, then cool, then warm, back and forth. And I think I'm going to put some kind of, I'm going to put some more sand in here. Oops. I think it needs some more shadow once I do this. This here's a little bit wider. But if I had a little brush here, I could pick away some of the stuff I don't like. I'll find some shadow down here too. I'm kind of doing this on the side here. I always have to walk away. I can't stand up close. Well, from back there, it looks great. From way back over there. It's very rough. Let me keep this. I like this blue violet better than the really stark violet I had. But what's going to make this interesting is the contrast between the between the shadow and the light coming through on the sand. And hopefully I'm getting it. I still like my grass here. Who talks in their studio, to themselves?
Everyone.
Yeah, right? Don't we?
Sure.
I know.
Talk to them, tell what
Yes.
they
No one else wants to listen to me, so. I want to warm this up.
Stop arguing with yourselves.
I do set up now I just got myself a studio space, which I'm very excited about. See how I push that back? Even though this is a warm color, I might put like a violet. I want to separate it from these pine trees back here. And I can put this, once I use a color somewhere, I got to take it somewhere else. I got to put it, introduce it. I just got a studio space. I do want to work back on canvas really large.
Christine,
Yes.
about 5 minutes, you want to take a break, let people come and just see what you're working on, get a little closer look to it?
Yeah, right now?
You need a break, whatever.
Oh, yeah, you take a break.
5 minutes, whatever you want.
Right now, this is good. It all comes together at the end. No.
Jim is a winner tonight. Thank you.
Yay, Jim.
Yes, the IRS can have your name, by the way.
No. That's somebody else. Yes.
So I filled that in for you. So I'm just going to put some more little darks in.
Good job. Yeah, keep it going there. Just- I don't know how it happened, but it's a good accident. It happened by accident. Yeah. I love it.
Just got back from New York.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ah,
I was down there taking a workshop.
nice. Nice, that's great.
One. What are you doing? Staying out of trouble?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was
Boy, I do wanna
yeah,
do
I
it.
spent some
Hold
time, we
this
were
up.
down in the Carolinas, a little bit of vacation, Hilton Head and then the Outer Banks, avoiding the hurricane. We had to evacuate Hilton Head a day earlier than we expected. So we got out of there, went to the Outer Banks, and it didn't follow us, so we were lucky. So, but no overseas traveling so far this year. Yeah, so at some point again it happens. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to put a little bit of sand underneath this. See if this helps up here.
At least there would be some sort of ritual.
That's what it is right here. A little bit of sand.
I know when I take,
I'm going to put a little bit of more. I need to break this line up here. Bright green. My high school workshop is, I've got 18 kids, but 6 are seniors. They've got senioritis already. It's October. Yeah. So I think I'm going to stop here.
Oh, you're not gonna put a camera down and run across the
Want to put some seagulls back here? So I had to break this line up a little bit here. See, again, always, your study always comes out better than, right? But I like it. I mean, I can work with it again. Another thing I want to show you, I asked about pastels, why we call them paintings. And then I got into like, you know, the longevity of them, archival wise, blah, 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 blah. Well, what I meant to say, pastel painting, when I started using pastels, I always thought, and I started on paper, right? So I was using a dry medium on paper, no liquid involved, no brush involved. Before I knew there was sanded paper, before I knew there was underpainting, this whole exploration and experimentation with pastels. To me, it was a drawing. And when I use pastel, because I do a lot of figure work, and if I use like a Canson paper, which isn't a sanded paper, it's just your charcoal paper or pastel paper, and I just use dry pastel, to me that's a drawing. If there's water involved or some kind of liquid involved and brushes involved, I consider it a painting. So and people always ask about how can you call it a painting. So us as pastel artists, even though I am an oil painter, we frame our work, who's got the print? We frame our work without mats sometimes to give it that look as a painting, because they are paintings. I don't use mats anymore. It's just some paintings deserve a matte pastel work, but to me it's a headache. Because I used to do my own framing, and you're up in your studio and you have to use like a neutral matte. They always want you to use a cream or a white for a show, and I always have some little dirt spot. It would drive me crazy. So I just, you know what, forget that. So us as pastelists, we're trying to get our work to be accepted as paintings in a gallery or a museum at that caliber, because they are. And back when the Impressionists were there, they used them as studies, but they also used them as paintings. William Merritt Chase. Did anybody go to the show at the MFA? I didn't realize he used pastels as much as he did. They are beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And they're probably the same vibrancy as when he put them on paper. And he used canvas too, which I want to do, pastel on canvas. He had to put glass on them, but I was like, oh, they were doing it back then. I thought that was a new idea of my own. But thank you so much. Yes, I will. Yes, I will.
Yeah, good to see you. I don't know how you were hiding there. I didn't see you till just a while ago.
Good. Thank you.
Hey, one day I asked you.
Oh, you're like, where's she going with it? Yeah. So that's my first little study. So I love this because, when sometimes you just jump in your